All right, let's go to another one that raised some eyebrows, and that would be SecDef, Secretary of Defense. And the nomination in this case was Pete Hegseth, or is Pete Hegseth.
Yeah. Well, considering I just badmouthed the current guy, I can only go up from here, Mike. So knowing both men. Now, so this is great. This is great. I know both men. I have served with Lloyd Austin. It's documented in my book, Operation Dark Heart, so people can read about that if they want. And I know Pete Hegseth. I've been friends with Pete for a long time. Again, full disclosure, I'm friends with Pete. So people just take that with a grain of salt as part of my assessment. Pete has several things going for him. He's actually got 2 degrees. He went to Princeton. He went to Harvard. So he's got some education, good education, Ivy League. He's a combat veteran, 2 Bronze Stars, major. I don't know if he's still in or not, but he made it to major in the Guard. And he wrote a book, War on Warriors, which he actually was very clear on what he would be willing to do or want to do if he was given a position of power, which now he is. What he doesn't have is links and obligations to the military-industrial complex. This is huge. General Eisenhower warned us in his exit briefing, I think it was either 1959 or 60, about the military-industrial complex. Well, that is what has largely influenced the thinking of senior Pentagon leadership regarding any number of things, especially weapon systems. So Lloyd Austin, for example, came out of, I think, Raytheon or something like that. Most of these guys have a revolving door. Well, Pete's not in that boys club. He's not in that revolving door. He owes nothing to anybody except President Trump, which means he's going to be loyal to Trump. I give this a solid A, and I know that may be controversial, but I think it's an A pick.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, no, that's it. No, it's good. That's Tony. Look, that's why we have you on here, is because you do have, and we should actually run through your resume, because I think a lot of people just think of you as like some handsome fellow who occasionally gets on TV and talks, but you've got an extensive background. And that's why we thought immediately when we wanted to run through this list that if you were available, it'd be great to have you on. Look, I think I think the biggest issue that is the immovability of the military, of the Pentagon. It's like trying to turn the Exxon Valdez around. It takes time. There's a lot of complexity. I know we talk about the military-industrial complex. The reality is there's very few corporations out there that can manufacture the munitions and the weapon systems that we talk about. And so people always say, well, how come it's always the same companies? Well, because that's unfortunately the way it works right now. I don't know whether you can diversify it to that degree, but
I don't
the management
saying,
issue.
Mike, but the thing is we don't want to run out of those weapons in 3 weeks if we have to go to war with China. And I think it's one thing Peter says. Right. It's like, it's one thing to say, hey, we know the Chinese are bad and they may challenge us. Okay, we made the right selection of weapons and the amount we need. That's what I think. I agree with you, but that's what he's got to look at, is how do we overcome that, prevent loss.
Yeah, and that's a big again, I'm always cynical about the ability to move government, but also certainly when you're talking about, look, I've seen defense contracting. I understand how some of the companies operate, and it needs a shakeup, but it also you got to be pragmatic about how quick you can make that happen. So I'm hoping that there can be some really solid decisions. I have no problems with you take nothing away from his experience. I think that the hit that he's been taking is a lot of times is, look, it's the biggest budget in the government, right? It's well over 1 million personnel, and there's no real management experience. And part of this is understanding that management line. Again, I get it. I understand, right? We're looking to shake things up.
Remember,
that's what
Mike,
he ran on. That's what he should be doing.
Right. Well, remember, you've got the Undersecretary of Defense for policy. You've got several assistant undersecretaries. He can't do it alone. So, I've learned, personnel is policy. So it's going to be, he's got to pick a really good team who can either complement his strengths or help him overcome his weaknesses. And I think Pete's smart enough to know what he doesn't know and look for help.
Yeah, no, I think that's true, and I think it's going to be a combination of both, right? You got to build on your strengths, and you also have to fill the gaps in your weaknesses. Nobody comes to the table
Yep.
without any weaknesses. So, no, I get it, and I think also you look at it and you think, I believe, maybe I'm wrong about this, but I think during Trump's first administration, I think he churned through 5 SecDefs. Is that right? During the course of his
Yep.
first
Well,
administration.
Mattis was first.
And-
I think there was either 4 or 5. Yeah, I have to go back and look, but yes, there
Yeah.
were a number.
It was a lot of churn, and I think in part what he's looking to do is say, look, I need a team around me that understands why I ran again, what I was running on, why people voted for him, and will implement the things that I say, so that there's not chaos at the top like he experienced the first time around. So I think that experience may have informed the decision making currently.
No doubt. And remember, this is not the first time they picked someone very young to come in with relatively little industrial experience to do this. Remember, John Lehman. John Lehman was appointed when he was still a serving commander. And as a matter of fact, I've heard stories, Mike, of John Lehman, Commander John Lehman, showing up to do a trap on an aircraft carrier and the crew freaking out. It's like, that's the Secretary of the Navy. He's like, well, he's just here for reserve duty. It's like, yeah, right. So I'm just saying that this has happened before. In 81, Reagan appointed a very young John Lehman to be Secretary of the Navy to turn the Navy around, and he did it. So just saying.